Welcome back to the build. I don't want my race car transporter's bed to be like a kid's double bunk or a cramped bunk on a railway train. I want it to be spacious and I want to be able to comfortably sit up so I can watch the flat screen TV I'm going to put down there. The only way I can do that is to raise the roof. I'm not worried about doing that because the idea was in my head before I bought this truck and because I have the skills to do it easily. A few of you have been asking where fiberglass would inevitably come into this race car transporter build. Well, here it is. Once again, I don't want to make any illegal car modifications, so I've done my research. Cutting a hole in the roof of a vehicle, as far as the authorities are concerned, is the same as fitting a sunroof. So if I don't cut or alter the subframing supporting and strengthening the roof, I can cut a hole in the roof and raise the roof without needing to have that modification certified. Those of you who really know the history of the Ford GT40 at Le Mans will know what I mean when I say I'm going to add a gurney. Making the new fiberglass roof for my race car transporter will be a two-stage process. First, I have to make a plug, and secondly, I have to then fiberglass over it, which will seal it and lock it onto the roof of the truck. When the fiberglassing is finished, all the material making up the plug has to be removed from underneath. So I need to bear that in mind as I construct it. Like, for example, I've got to make sure I don't put screws where I can't get to them once the fiberglass is over the top. At first you might think this roof extension is too high in proportion to the rest of the truck. But later on, I'm going to build a steel canopy right over my tray to cover my car. And I want to make it high enough so I can stand underneath it. So it's going to be up about here, which we'll put it about there. And that height difference between where my roof extension is going to be and the steel canopy, well, I've got some ideas how to blend that together. At the front of the roof extension, rather than just going straight up there, which would be ugly and terribly aerodynamically inefficient, here what I'll do is I'll copy the rake of the windscreen and the curve of it. And doing that will create a fairly large space here right across the front. And what I'll do is I'll use that space in there as a storage area. And on the back, the same will happen. On the back, the roof is going to come out here about that far and then go down to overlap the back of the original cabin. And so there'll be a space in there about that wide and about that high in there. And once again, I'll turn that into storage space so that none of that room is wasted. just about got all the tinware done, and you can see how I'm using the original roof panel here. I've just got to make the end plates for this kick-up spoiler. Normally on a job like this, I would use car body filler to smooth out my joints. But when you use that in fiberglass, then you've got to coat it with 2-pack clear polyurethane like Wattyl 7000 to seal it, because the polyresins just eat into it and it locks it. Because this will be the underside of the job, not the top side, what I'm going to do instead is I'm not going to use auto body filler, or as in Australia we call it carbog. I'm going to use plaster. Now plaster will stick to the fiberglass on the underside, but it's easily scraped off with a paint scraper. So it's cheaper and it's much easier to use. There's not much filling in this, as you can see. The tin works, I'm very happy with how it's got. It's just a couple of little dips and stuff. Little dips where I need to fill it in with plaster. So that's what I'm going to do. So you can see the shape of the sleeper cab roof. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. In the next episode, we'll lay fiberglass right over this, and then we'll take all this tin work out from underneath.